Hello there, and welcome to the Sweet Child of Time podcast, where we take a sweet child and introduce him to Amazon's adaptation of the Wheel of Time series. I'm your host, Steve Barnes. That's Taubernaut we're listening to, y'all. I love Taubernaut, of course. If I didn't love him, why would I play him? Taubernaut is from Cincinnati, Ohio, fronted by Vinny Taubner. Fantastic guy. I'm friends with him on Instagram, so we're not real friends, but we pretend to be. And their latest single, which you're hearing right now, is called Eternal Black. It's the first single that's going to be coming off their upcoming new album. Bass player Nathan wrote this one. Vinny likes to give Nathan full credit on that one, which we're glad. That song is pretty hype. I know my co-host loves it. He's been over there jamming to it this whole time. He loves that. Their album is going to be out this year, but their last album, Escalating Fetishist, was just out, came out just last year, and it's still in my regular rotation on my Stoner Doom list. So check out their links, listen to those guys. And I'm going to bring in my co-host, speaking of music. Did I say enough about Taubernaut? Did I say I love them? That's all I need to say. Y'all listen to them too. So here comes another musician that I love. He goes by the name of Marshland Monster when he's being famous, but when he's being just a regular guy, he's James McCullum, and I see you, James.
I see you as well, but also no one see me as famous. Not at all. Please don't treat me like that. Treat me as a starving artist who needs your help. Listen to one of my songs just once a day. Once a day will keep the demons away.
That's all it takes. Once a day, and he will get that 0.003 cents, and he'll be happy as hell.
It's more than that now, sir. It's 0.0037 to sometimes 42, at least on Spotify.
Oh, the lovely overlords of Spotify have blessed us with a raise, and I'm so happy they have, because now I'm making...
Except they still have not paid out for October. That's some bullshit.
No joke. We don't want to get into the logistics of Spotify and DistroKid, but yeah, they need to get on the ball a little bit there. 2022 here.
There has to be a class action lawsuit coming for them just based on October alone.
That link will be out on Instagram for that class action lawsuit for all podcasters and musicians to jump on. Well, James, you saw me. Can you still see me? Do you see what's happening over here this week?
I do.
The cat. I'm going to tell a cautionary tale to all of our listeners, because our listeners listen to metal music. Our listeners watch The Wheel of Time. So they must all be cat owners too. I mean, it's a Venn diagram. I know everybody listening has a cat. So what is that? Please tell me what your visual clue is.
Oh, no, this is a Venn diagram, but it's just a circle. Okay. I'm not making a gaping hole for you. Is that what you thought I was doing?
I thought you were calling me a zero, but...
Oh, no.
But this is my tale. Melissa Villasenor, who is our cat, she eats pretty much everything, including crickets, birds. But when we buy her store-bought food, it's Purina One. It's either the indoor advantage, or it's the sensitive stomach, or it's the salmon. It really doesn't seem to matter. She eats it all, and it's all fine. She also eats the dog food out of Hopper's bowl when she gets a chance. Went to the grocery store recently when her bowl was empty, had to run to the store. For whatever reason, supply chain issues, cat food is hard to find around here. And when I went to the store, there was no Purina One on the shelf except for the high protein blend. Went ahead and bought that. Figured it was no big deal since Melissa has she's never been sick in her life. This high protein blend did a number on her stomach, and so it gave her bad intestinal problems. So she is being, for the past few days, she's been away from the rest of the family, recuperating, resting, loose bowels. We're trying to get her on the mend. The point is, don't feed your cat a different cat food just out of the blue, no matter what. So that is my cautionary tale for you and our listeners, James.
I have a worst one for Frank, who was our old man cat. I thought hey, Cats and dogs are similar. Well, give him some dog food here and there. No, don't do that. Doesn't have the same nutrients a cat food gives a cat, and they need those nutrients more than a dog, and vice versa.
Did it have adverse effects then?
Oh, yeah, he started pooping his brains out.
See, Melissa eats the dog food all the time, and the vet has told us she kind of just waves her hand at it. And like, I wouldn't let her make a habit of it, but if she takes a couple nibbles, it's just basically like eating junk food. And
sometimes I will drop something on the floor by accident. Usually it's when I'm cutting up veggies. So like a pepper will fall on the ground. Socks will run up to it, sniff it, be like, no, thank you. But he's done this before, but I was like, oh, I was putting in frozen dumplings from the freezer section, and a bit of dumpling of the like pasta part fell on the ground, and like Socks ran up to it. I was like, are you gonna eat that frozen noodle? And then he ate the frozen noodle. There was once where I had like egg noodles. They're just a bag.
Yeah.
These aren't cooked. Woke up to find the bag ripped open and just a litter of crunched up, half-eaten raw noodles. This cat ate raw noodles. He's weird.
I used to eat raw noodles when I was a little kid, but for no reason other than they were crunchy, and I didn't know any better because I was 3.
But I knew someone who would, maybe more people do this, he would take... On Shuffling the Deck, I talked about this person, Lil Jojo. He's the place where I first saw Big Money Hustlers, and he would take ramen noodle uncooked, pull out the entire thing. He would lay it down on some paper towel, and then would shake the seasoning onto the uncooked ones, slide it back into the thing, and then eat it like a hamburger in a wrapper, just fully crunchy.
I mean, it doesn't sound terrible. I guess I love ramen, but I crave that juice, though, man. No juice?
Yeah. Also, the sodium levels would be off the chart in your mouth because it's not diluted by water. Unless he was really watering that mouth.
Was this a everyday occurrence or a weekly occurrence?
I have no idea. He told me he would do it, and then when he came over once, he did that. He's like, "Oh, you got ramen? Let me do this." And I was like, "I don't want to. You can do that. I'm not going to do it."
I don't need to see your sideshow right now. Your ramen sideshow.
I can't eat ramen now because I think it's because of my ulcers or whatever the hell's wrong with my stomach, but it just messes me up real bad.
Yep, same here. There's a lot of things I have to avoid, such as milk and ramen. Yeah, what a fun way to start our show. We're going to get into something funner, though. We've been talking about animals and ramen. We're going to talk books.
Books, check them out. Books, check them out. Pick up a book. You got a fantasy? Imagination can take you to where you want to be. Are you curious? How can you find out? Books, check them out. Books, check them out. Read about stars and cars, play electric guitars, or cops that work hard, patrolling the boulevard, the heavyweight champ and his craziest bout. Books, check them out. Books, check them out. At your library.
So, James, I haven't been able to do much reading this week. I've still been reading Knife of Dreams, my Wheel of Time chapters, but I haven't touched the Motley Crue Dirt. I haven't touched, I have another book that I've been working through called Farewell Nicola by Boothby, but that's been like a real slow read. I honestly haven't read crap except for Wheel of Time. How about yourself?
I'm just about done with the Barbera autobiography. Then I'm going to jump over to the Hannah biography that was co-written by him. So it's like half autobiography. It's one of those things where you dictate to someone and then they make it better.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually excited for that one because sometimes Barbera likes to talk about the lavish things in Hollywood, and he'll just like kind of name drop or just be like, oh, I was at the Ritz, and yeah, it is as great as they say. And so there's parts where it's like, just please talk about the cartoons. I got to the point where he, in the 80s, knew Cabbage Patch Kids was like the next, or was the big thing. He's like, people are lining up, parents are lining up for this more than they were lining up for gas during whatever shortage during that time. And they sold an hour. So he's like, holy shit, we are going to be making so much bank off from this, because they hadn't like 100% like in writing gotten the licensing deal with them. And over the course of this hour-long conversation, it went from him talking normal to pleading with the man, like, please, like, you have to, we sold the show, it's good for everyone, and hangs up, and he's like, we didn't get the show, it's done. And then Barbera's like, what? And he's like, this wasn't just a cartoon money bag with wings flying away. This was a dump truck of money just driving past. And then luckily, just all of a sudden, it pops into his head. He's like, well, let's just make the Flintstones like Cabbage Patch Kids. And he's like, what? And that's how this trend, just out of like desperation, how this like, hey, let's take old cartoons and let's turn them into kids or teenagers. Flintstone Kids, Yo Yogi, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and then the rest followed out of this like little, hey, let's do this. Yabba dab, yabba dab, yabba dabba doo. Bedrock Flintstone Kids.
Even when I was a little kid and they introduced these characters, we were all 6 years old with our arms folded, eyes lid, like, no, please don't try to sell us this bullshit.
Well, wait, how old would you have been in like 87?
I guess 15 or 16.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't have been down with the Flintstone Kids. Maybe A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Did you like A Pup Named
Absolutely
Scooby-Doo?
not. Scrappy-Doo. It was Scrappy-Doo and Godzuki. That's who I'm thinking of, are the two like kid introductions to cartoons when I was a kid. And no one liked seeing Godzuki or Scrappy-Doo. No one.
Nicole, I don't know if it's because she legitimately likes Godzuki or just thinks it's funny.
It is funny.
But she's like, James, you're writing an intro for Mostly Speaking. Throw Godzuki in there. I'm like, I can't because there was that episode with Kaiju Carl of Mostly Speaking Sentai where we were doing a dating game where we were setting him up with another kaiju. Yeah. And Nicole wanted Godzuki in there. I was like, Nicole, I don't think we can because I'm pretty sure Godzuki is a child kaiju. That's just not good.
It's not good.
We can't child bride Godzuki.
Did y'all say that on the podcast too? Because I seem to remember this conversation.
I think I did. I think that was one of the cons was might be a child at heart or in reality.
All right, books. Yeah, you're reading autobiographies. That's cool. That's usually what I slip in between my fiction and my fantasy is like Motley Crue, for example. I love reading. It just seems to just fly by better for me for some reason. When I'm reading fantasy or fiction, I like read it slower and like reread paragraphs. But yeah, keep it up.
I would have been reading more. However, Nicole was out of town for like 4 days, which meant I could, 1, get high.
Woo.
I could, 2, watch shitty movies, and 3, do a combination of both.
Don't you already do that anyway?
Well, Nicole doesn't like watch. She's like, if I'm doing things, you can have that on, and it'll just be in the background, and I'll digest it through osmosis. Gotcha. But if we sit down and I'm like, let's watch, I don't know, Troll 2 again. She's like, please, no, I don't want to watch that. Or if I'm any full moon feature, generally she will say no to. Most trauma. She enjoyed Toxic Avenger 1. And for Nicole is the most baffling person. She's like, I hate just don't watch these shitty movies. I want to actually watch something good. And then if we watch like a micro budget movie, meaning like a no budget, like done for $500, generally she will fucking love those movies.
I'm the same way too, because when you see like a small budget movie like that, but you can see like the soul of the people actually being into it and trying, your kind of heart goes out to them. Whereas you have like a big budget shitty movie, it's kind of like, this was just kind of shit out.
No, so I'm talking low budget shitty movies where like the full moon features of that, like Nicole likes a big budget movie. She likes a small budget movie. Sometimes despises a low budget movie, at least the ones I watch. But there's a specific one called The Evolved Part 1. Part 2 was never made. And I was like, I don't know if I can finish this. And Nicole was like, no, keep this on. You keep this on, James. I was like, all right, okay, fine. She's weird, but I watched Invisible Dad. That is a fantastic kids movie, at least. Well, watch him while high. Corwin once said, James, if you have to dictate Dr. Alien being good by it's good while high, it's not good. Right. And then I watched Teen Witch. I wanted to watch, which is not a bad movie. I just want to know if it's still good because my sister watched it all the time, I think this is a fantasy movie. A Little Princess.
Doesn't really ring. I remember The Little Prince. I don't remember A Little Princess.
I think in my mind it's a good movie. Haven't seen it since I was like 7, but that's besides the point. But I wanted to watch like a weird teen movie to like, because generally like child actors kind of suck. So when you're high, it's like, oh, are they incredible or not? I don't know. But then I just rewatched Teen Witch, which is great.
Teen Witch is great. It's got the top that scene, which everybody is in love with. I'm going to recommend for you, because you have my Amazon Prime password right now. If you like those kind of little kid actors being insane, then Highway to Heaven and Little House on the Prairie would be gold for you. I just love those shows. My friend Sam and myself, we were Michael Landon diehard fans, and anything Highway to Heaven or Little House on the Prairie, we would stop everything in our tracks, and I don't even know what it was about it, but we just loved it. And looking back, I'm not sure why we loved it so much, but I would have to pass that love on to you. If you have seen them, here's your chance.
And then I'll say one more movie I watched, which was Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. That one was so stupid and so great. The antithesis of it is in college, and this entire college is cool with the frat houses competing for like prankster of the year during prank week. And it is so stupid and great. I recommend it.
Repeat the name again. Ghoulies 3?
Yes, Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. But I'm trying to branch out, guys, into not just bonkers horror movies. If you have anything that feels like Troll 2, regardless of genre, and specifically fantasy, because if it's sword and sorcery, science fantasy, whatever, let me know.
We're going to listen to some rock and roll music by Yahweh's Tears right here, and we'll be right back. And we're back here with James.
Hi.
Hi. We've been listening to Yahweh's Tears. Did you enjoy listening to that?
Absolutely.
Sweet, yeah, that was The Light. I always make sure that the volume is up nice and loud in your headphones so you know exactly what we're hearing when we're talking about these bands. So, yeah, Yahweh's Tears is a band. They're coming to us from, what city did they say we're from here? I'm not even sure. They're guys that I'm friends with on Instagram. They've always been very supportive of us. I've always been supportive of them, and I love their style. They got a great rock style. Just got a new bass player in the band, and they're going to start playing a festival next month. And here we go. We got Bradley, and we got... God damn it, James.
That's what editing's for.
Yeah, I know. See, the problem is here, me and Hubert, we texted a lot, so there's a lot of information and a lot of these texts that I have to scroll through. But I can definitely say Yahweh's Tears from Augusta, Georgia, sent us a song called The Light. We just listened to it, so you know how it sounds. I don't got to describe it to you. And you're going to be able to see them at the Spring Fling in Master City Ballpark, which, of course, is in Augusta, Georgia. That's going to be in April. So if you're a Georgian, go check out Yahweh's Tears, please, and check them out on Instagram. With any band we hear on here, I'm going to have their links in the show notes. So always please check those out. That's what they're there for. And we're here to talk about Wheel of Time. James? Are you still with me, James? You're nodding your head, but you're not saying anything.
You're doing your stuff. I want to make this easy for editing, dude.
I'm making it the most difficult editing process today, and I don't know why I'm putting that on myself, but I did anyway. We just finished watching episode 2, Shadows Waiting. And before we even say anything, I need to ask you, James. You watched episode 1 of Wheel of Time. If I had nothing to do with us doing this podcast or suggesting watching Wheel of Time, you told me that you would probably go ahead and watch Wheel of Time because it looks vaguely interesting. Yeah. After watching episode 1, would you have watched episode 2?
Yeah.
Yeah? Of your own accord?
Especially generally when I watch a show, especially first episode ever, even if I'm like iffy on the pilot, I'll go to the second episode because generally they'll work things out if need be. And yeah, especially after what I watched of today's episode, I'm in.
Totally. I mean, I was wondering that too. I was like, if I had nothing to do with James watching this, first off, would you have continued? Obviously, yes. Second off, would you have binged it or would you have spaced it out?
I don't binge things generally. If any, like Nicole and I will sit down to watch something. We'll watch, let's say, a Witcher that's 50 minutes long. And I'll be like, all right, that's enough of that. And then we'll still be sitting down. We'll just watch 50 minutes more of different television.
Right.
And I don't like just watching the same thing for a long period of time. There are some exceptions, like a Tosh.0, because that's just like clips and it's easy digestible. Right. And I don't know, it's probably just Tosh.0 then, as of recently.
Yeah, I've got my shows that I prefer to binge and other shows that I do not prefer to binge. This something like this, I would not binge it.
It's heady as well.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in, and that's what I fear, that if somebody binges a show such as this, then there's a lot they're just going to miss because it's too much to remember. No matter how much you're paying attention, it's a lot of information to take in.
I binged Bob Ross, and I'm like, holy shoot, man! I don't know how to draw a tree still. I just took in so many different kind of trees that I don't even know how to draw one.
You took in so much happiness that it just filled your brain.
I took in so much happiness that I wanted to still jump off a bridge.
With Bob Ross, hand in hand.
Yeah.
We got episode 2, The Lake is Waiting. Not really. Shadows Waiting. So we got a couple new characters here. We got Uta Bredowitz. She's our director again. Dave Hill's name popped up in here, and I know Dave Hill from the Game of Thrones as a writer. I think he might have been a head writer or a producer of Game of Thrones. I wrote his name down here because I was supposed to look up a little bit more about him. I failed to do so.
This isn't stand-up comedian Dave Hill?
It is not.
Okay.
That's the first thing I thought, too. Is it's so cool that Dave Hill's involved in Game of Thrones. It's not him. Another thing I got wrong. Rafe Judkins. I told you that he was the producer of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is half right. He was the producer of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Makes a big difference. But nonetheless, he does have that experience of being I think he was the executive producer of that show. He is also one of the writers of this episode, along with Celine Song from last time, Clarkson twins from last time. But Rafe brought on a friend, Amanda Kate Schumann for this episode. They worked together on Chuck when that was a show. So I guess it's how they know each other, but she's a writer on this episode too now. A couple new actors. Ooh, boy. One of the first guys we see is Eamon Valda. He's one of the White Cloaks. He's played by Abdul Salas. And I am a big Abdul Salas fan after watching this episode. And then we've got Stuart Graham. He plays our distinguished gray-haired White Cloak that we see a little later on in the episode. Both of these guys, I looked up their IMDb's, and nothing that they did really rang a bell. I couldn't even pick out like a major character they've played in previous shows. So as far as I know, I don't know much of these guys. Do you recognize anybody from the show? Any of these new guys?
No, absolutely. I've recognized one person, and that's only because you pointed it out to me.
You must recognize this person, James. You have to. That's exactly how I said it. So, yeah, we start out the show with those said White Cloaks in their little village. Looks like a Salem witch trial. They're burning an Aes Sedai at the stake. You see a nice close-up of Valda eating and some juice running down his chin. And you know when you see somebody eating and enjoying their food that much, they must be an evil guy.
I got some notes about that. First, you passed over. There's a little kid with a cloche.
Oh yeah,
bringing him this.
Yes,
and he's like, he removes it and he's like, "Have you ever tried this slug housed in a single throatful?" Because he just like eats this slug so hard, and I didn't know like. These are like spice lords who will eat hot wings and be like, "Oh, it's the hottest thing you've ever eaten. Oh, you don't like it? I guess you're just a pussy." And it's like, okay, calm down, sir. Right. Get out of here. That's the same thing with these slug things. You could easily pull out the spikes.
Yeah.
If you're like, "Oh, these dudes are vampires." Because they're saying like, "Oh, it's only made it tastes fine, but it's made better when your blood's infused with it." Just eat people. That's what you're saying.
I mean, he got those hands. He chopped off the Aes Sedai's hands. So obviously he's got some knives that he could chop that thing up a little bit. He could eat it like in, 10 or 15 bites if he chose. That's what I would do, is I would savor it, not just shove the whole thing in there. But we're not him. I mean, he has his own set of values and we have our set of values, right?
Yeah, and he was all like, "Ooh, the brutality and bloodshed for all is what makes it great, G.G. Allen." He literally said that. He shouted out G.G. Allen.
I remember that too. I was like, that's a little bit of an anachronistic, but I'll take it. I like this guy. The White Cloaks, as you can see, they hate Aes Sedai. They hate evil. They hate magic. And it's kind of like they don't realize that the Aes Sedai could possibly maybe be good people. I don't know. It's obvious that he's done this before because he's got like 6 rings on that belt of his. And the first thing I wanted to go over was those chopped off hands. So I'm going to steamroll you, James. The reason that he chopped off those hands is because these White Cloak guys, in addition to not being that smart, they think that when Aes Sedai wave their hands around, that's how the magic happens. So that's why he chopped off her hands, to make her not be able to do magic anymore. Whether or not that's true, we don't know, but that is certainly what the White Cloaks believe. You got any other thoughts for this scene?
No, just when you see people dressed in all white in the middle of the forest, they're going to be weird in some manner. Either they're isolated from the outside world, which makes them weird and have their own quirks because they just don't, there's no sense, or not weird, just they have their own way of living that will be seen as weird to outside people. When I play Dungeons and Dragons, I've realized that all my characters, I make them from a town isolated from the outside world because I can just make them weird, and the DM can't be like, well, no one acts like that in this world. And I'm like, yes, they do in this town that is away from the world.
It reminds me of the Two Rivers in Wheel of Time. Like, all of our characters lived in a town outside of everything else in the world, so they had their own little way of doing things. And when all these Trollocs busted in and busted their party, it was like, holy, the world's busting in on us now, and I guess our little town's over.
But, yeah, I'm like, I don't like these people already, just based on them being dressed in white. And then clearly, when someone's just burning a witch at the stake, you're like, ooh.
I mean, war is war, and there's death in war. But there's a difference between like a quick death and a burning at the stake. Absolutely. But, he walks in the light. That's what this guy says. So I guess he must be a good guy, right?
He's also a pedantic asshole later on when someone says, may you walk with the light, and he says, the light's always with him. You don't need to wish that for him. And it's like, okay, it's pleasantries,
chill it out,
okay?
buddy. Okay, yeah, exactly.
Like, if I said to the Pope after he sneezes, bless you, and some lowly peasant not peasant, but lowly on the rung at the Vatican's like, he's divined by God, you don't need to bless him, I'd smack that person in the mouth.
He got the marshland monster blessing. You can't get that from anybody but me.
Yeah. I used to say after I'd say bless you, and then there would be a beat, and I'd say in the name of the beast. And my friend's little brother, I wasn't there, but someone said bless you, and then he whispered. He was maybe like 8-9 years old. He went in the name of the beast, and then he's like, okay, no. If mom hears that, she will ask where you found that out from, and then James will never be able to come over. Stop saying that.
Well, stop influencing little kids too. How about that, James?
It was the beast who influenced them, not me.
Well, we finally got to see our opening spread, and the reason we didn't see it in the first episode was because it wasn't there. I was mistaken about that. So this is the first time we've seen this opening spread, and you may or may not know now that the Wheel of Time is in reference to a spinning wheel that will weave thread into a pattern which is our life. So all of us are threads, and they show those threads forming into the women of the Aes Sedai. You see the 7 clear colors, not all primary colors. We were talking primary colors last time, but there's some secondary colors in there too. So yeah, basically that opening sequence is just to look cool and show us that the world is being weaved by the wheel. Any thoughts about that opening credit?
I skipped it.
Well, yeah, there's not much to say. I mean, it's fun, but it doesn't have much to do with nothing. But you heard my explanation.
I really had to use the bathroom this morning, and I was like, I need to make sure I can get done with this in time to record. So next time I will watch it. This will not be an Evangelion type deal where out of spite I skip the intro. Everyone's like, it's the greatest opening credits ever. The song's amazing. Well, guess what? That show sucks. And I just out of spot, because the first episode I was like, I just want to see what this is. I'll skip the intro. And I was like, why do people like this? So then it just became a joke. If the next thing would play, I'd quickly be like, oh no, I got to skip. I'm in the other room. I got to skip.
Yep. I think this opening credit, I believe, was made by the same team that did the Westworld opening credit, which I love the Westworld opening scenes, and I would never fast forward past that. Were you a Westworld watcher by any chance?
Like back in the 70s, yeah. That movie?
The newest ones, the newest TV show.
No, Nicole started watching it, and She's like, there's no reason for these dudes and dudettes to be nude. This is just weird. And then she's just stopped watching it, I think. I don't think she finished.
I hear that. I mean, we won't go into it. That season 1 was just an amazing show that had a lot more to do than just nude people. It was pretty mind expanding. But here we're getting our minds.
I wanted it pants expanding.
At least a certain area of it.
Yeah. The back area, because I'm shitting my brains out because this show's great.
This show being Wheel of Time is great. We're running from the Trollocs right now. That's our first scene as our crew is running from the Trollocs through the woods. It's dark. We see the Trollocs can easily cross a stream by foot.
Wait, what?
You see a scene of them running across a stream in the daytime, and it's just like ankle deep. No big deal.
Oh, okay.
But you find out later that they're completely terrified of open water, and you see why. They get chased up to where they need a ferry to go across a nice body of water there. So the Trollocs chase them up there. There's more in this scene than that, but I'm just kind of skipping ahead. Mm-hmm. One of the Trollocs falls in, and we do not see him again. He drowns, and it freaks the other Trollocs out. Obviously, this is something they've dealt with before because they're well aware of deep water, so they're not going to cross it.
Okay, so I had some comments on this.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I was on swim team throughout my younger years.
Okay.
This army needs me. I will teach the Trollops how to swim, and people are gonna be like, "Ha, you can't get me." Then all of a sudden, they're doing the breaststroke. Yeah, I'm not showing them doggy paddle or freestyle.
Not with those bodies. Not with those bodies.
They're gonna start backstroking. The most pointless of all strokes. If you're a child out there listening to this, stop. But if you are on swim team and someone says, "Hey, you want to know what you might be good at backstroke?" Push them in the pool. I don't care if they have their cell phone on them. No, backstroke, I believe, needs to be outlawed, especially for children. People are like, "Oh, CTE and Little League football, it's bad." So is backstroke, because you're backstroking. You slam your head at least once a week on the cement pool.
Yeah. And it's no secret in our family that exact same injury happened to Heather when she was maybe 20, 21 years old. We were doing the exact same thing, swimming in the pool. She hit her head on that wall, and she's got a permanent scar from it. That's why it's no secret, because it's a visible reminder.
You want to know what? This is Casper Mattress is always, we got to get into the podcasting. Get into the swim meet team field and start just the top. They have those like somewhat squishy things, but that's only to hit so the time stops. Outline that with some memory foam mattresses, and it'll might crink your neck a little, but it's not going to concuss you.
Okay, well, these Trollocs didn't have any memory foam mattresses. They didn't have any stripes. They didn't have floaties, and their bodies just simply do not work in the water. They just sink straight to the bottom because they're monsters. I mean, some of them are part bull, some are part elephant, some are part hawk. They're just insane. So their bodies just cannot support water. So even with you there, being the toughest swim coach in the world and doing everything you can.
I'm kind.
Bringing them orange slices and bringing all the Trollocs, their little Capri Suns. They're still not going to be able to swim, man. I'm sorry. It's just not possible.
I'll get them to doggy paddle. They'll be able to learn how to tread water. They might not be able to swim long distances. It's not a marathon.
This is a kind of long. The ferry doesn't look that far away, but it's a pretty good distance. It's not swimmable. If it was swimmable, then our 6 people would have just swam across it. They couldn't take their horses. I take that back.
All right, see, I'll teach the Trollops how to swim, and it'll be great. The Dark One will promote me.
So you would hang out with them, much like our buddy Padan Fane. We kind of suspect that he's like a Trolloc lover because he didn't seem too fazed by all the murder in last episode. And then we got this.
Is that the merchant?
Yeah, that's right. The peddler.
Okay.
I should keep saying the peddler. And then we have these Trollocs' leader, the Fade or the Eyeless. He's the guy that has that whistling song soundtrack, and he's got that nice horse. I guess you'd be hanging out with those guys. See, that guy is a great leader, that Fade, that Eyeless fella, and even he can't get these Trollocs to swim. So I'm not sure what kind of motivation you can offer that the Fade cannot.
So, Toothy Mouth isn't... He's not the dark one?
No. That's
one of my questions.
Yeah, he's like the captain or like the general of that squad. They all answer to him.
He has too much going on. He needs to delegate with other people, other lesser commanders, and one will be the swim coach.
Yeah, I guess you could like pick a couple of like his his most apt Trollocs that might show a little bit of initiative, and maybe
how are trollops made? Are they bioengineered? That's another question. Because
there's no spoiler. I don't think there's much spoiler in this. Yeah, they're bioengineered. They were made.
Okay.
Yes.
Start bioengineering them with dolphins, and then there you go. You have a navy now.
Oh man. Okay, that's that's a fantastic point.
Or a hippo, because then you have like a strong buff guy, but also, hey, I can swim.
Well, we don't have that. What we do have is they make it to the other side. The ferryman is worried about his family. He wants to go back and get his son. They don't want to take any chances. They being Moraine and Lan, because they're pretty much our people in charge here. So they destroy the ferry. The ferryman calls her a monster, basically calls her a monster because he's pissed off at that decision. It's clear that there's real monsters on the other side of the lake, and he is calling Moraine a monster. Well, because it kind of sucks that she did take his livelihood and, smash it in the river, but he decided to jump in after it and drown too. I don't know who he decided. Maybe they're going to have a nice little like sing along. Him and the Trolloc who like just fell to the bottom. They'll be under the sea down there, hanging out together on the bottom.
Hell yeah! I did have one note when they were before this, when it was still daytime out. The water ice guy comes up behind them, and the Aes Sedai says, "How much time?" And I wrote down, "We got a whole wheel full of time." That's what I was hoping he'd say. A wheel full.
But all right. So next up, we got. They're all wondering if they should trust each other during these like horse scenes. You notice that there's 6 of them, or 4 from the group, and then we have Moraine and Lan. Whenever you see an overhead shot, you're only seeing 5 riders. And then when you see them in a group, you're seeing 6 riders. And, on IMDb, it says it's like a film mistake. It's not a film mistake, because Lan is always either ahead of them or behind them. He's always scouting the area so the 5 of them can move around and do what they have to do. So that's why you only see 5 horses overhead. So I think the next scene, they're taking a break, just like you said, and Moraine is healing the horses, which of course is something you have to do. You can't just ride your horse all day. I mean, not everybody can heal their horse with magic, but you do have to take special care of your transportation. Excuse me. Our 2 river folks are kind of disagreeing a little bit about things. They're talking about, they give us more information about the dragon here. The dragon can either break the world or he can save it. That's what they say. Matt speculates maybe the dragon has wings. A lot of speculation. It seems like Matt's kind of like our truth teller of the group. He's kind of like our guy that kind of lays it out for us and, doesn't see the bullshit. Any thoughts there?
One of them was like, they say, forget what you heard about the dragon, but that immediately made me say, fuck what you heard about the dragon. He's dating Reggio. It's a reference to a Gravy Train song. Have you ever heard Gravy Train?
Just the commercials from the 80s, that's all.
Okay, it's not the dog food. We once went to, it's Hunks and His Punks is one of the members, Hunks, from that punk rock band, Hunks and His Punks. And we went to one of his concerts. The best concert I ever been to was that Hunks and His Punks show. And my friend, MC Deep, gave him a Gravy Train thing of dog food to sign, and he was like, I'll sign this. This is stupid and fun.
Hell yeah.
But check out Gravy Train and Hunks and His Punks. Very good.
Right on. Say hello to Heather. She's home now. Hi, Heather.
Howdy. Hello.
And James says hi, but you can't hear him. She said hi.
Turn
back.
it up real loud in your headphones.
You're
I'll
already
scream
as loud as you
so
can go.
loud.
All right, so sitting around, we learned. No, I'm sorry, not sitting around. We're going back a little second. This next scene, we have everybody sleeping. It's nighttime. Moraine comes to wake up Egwene to have some talks with her. I call this next section Power in Dreams. She talks to Egwene about the 3 rules of the Aes Sedai. The Aes Sedai cannot speak a word that is not true. They cannot kill anyone except in defense. And they cannot make a weapon which will kill anybody else. Any thoughts before I go on, James?
Yeah, she's got warder hands now.
You want to expand on that thought?
So whenever they say warder, it just sounds like they're saying water in a Philly accent. So
Yes.
every time I hear that, I say warder ice, warder ice.
I can see that.
And it makes me want to start watching Double Dare again.
Again with the Double Dare. Okay. I
was
associate
filmed
you
in
with Double
Philly.
Dare so hard.
It was filmed in Philly, so in the early days before it became popular nationwide, all the children had the thickest Philly accents.
So, we found out Egwene listening to the wind is kind of equal to the one power, which is what Moraine is using. So we're looking at a stone with Egwene and Moraine, and some of the stuff Moraine says here sounds very familiar. It's almost as if she's been watching Egwene longer than we realize, because she's telling Egwene to imagine herself drifting and floating in a river and being calm. And we just saw that last episode. That was before Moraine showed up. And Egwene does. She does have a little bit of power inside her, as we hear. They finish a little hangout sesh, go back to Rand, or Egwene tries to go back to Rand to have a little cuddle. He's not having it. He just wants to be by himself. So she has to go hang out with spooky Perrin, very dark, staring at the fire. We hear wolves in the background, and we see that he is hiding a significant wound. Any thoughts?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, okay. He had a gigantic bite mark or scratch marks on his bottom leg. Oh. And as soon as he heard Egwene come up, he quickly hid them.
Oh, okay.
And as he was doing all this, you can hear a bunch of wolves howling in the background, and you see the fire flickering around his face. And it's I don't know, looks like a lot of foreshadowing to me.
Is he going to become a Trolloc?
Seems like it. I don't know.
I mean, trollop.
All it takes is one scratch from a trollop, and then you are a trollop as well.
Uh-oh. It's werewolf rules.
Yeah. So everybody's having weird dreams, especially Rand. He's in this spooky, echoey corridor, wakes up and pukes out a giant bat, and then dreams of didn't dream of, I don't know. He sees this guy with eyes right in front of him in the woods, and when he wakes up, there's that bat that came out of his gut. And we find out that Matt and Perrin had the same dreams that he did of the same guy. And Moraine, begs them to let them know about her dreams, because dreams hold a lot of power. And then Rand yells at her. Yes.
I was so confused by this, because I was like, did I miss something? Because all of a sudden he's somewhere and and I was like, this has to be a dream. And luckily it was. And it was a disgusting scene.
Very, yeah. And it was even more disgusting when he woke up and it was right there. So that's got to be a big shock to his system.
But I thought I could have swore the thing he pulled out of his mouth was like a gerbil.
Oh,
was that a bat?
It was a bat. It, like, you could see the wings. You could see like the scaling of the wing. I mean, it was clearly a bat. Like when it came out. And of course, that's all they're talking about. Matt's talking about that they're
Rand is in this. Like Rand has become a completely different character.
Yeah, it's from episode 1 to episode 2. We could have used an episode 1.5 for a little character building there, right?
Yeah, because he's just like a little whiny fuckboy who's thinking, oh, you're the one doing this to all of us. Why should we follow you, this and that? But from the first, he was so like, I am here for this woman.
Right.
And now he's like, I want to go back home.
I can't disagree with you at all. A couple things I want to point out, though, is, Rand yells at her. Matt's kind of like our truth teller here. He kind of lays it out like, hey, she can shoot fireballs, so we should probably stick with her. Rand's like, I guess so. Egwene, while she's yelling, this is another thing that you might have missed, but Perrin's is one of my favorite book characters, so I pay very close attention to any Perrin scene. She says monsters killed Nynaeve and Layla, and then we cut over to Perrin, and he kind of has like so we don't know if maybe she's calling Perrin a monster, or if he's just trying to like we saw him kill Layla. So,
but they don't know that, right?
Nobody knows that. Nobody knows he's injured. Nobody knows it was him that killed her at this point because he hasn't said crap. He kind of seems like he's in a dazed state of shock, which I can't blame him. Yeah, they all should be this way.
There is one line before they start talking amongst the four of themselves. Rand says, "Where are we going?" And the Aes Sedai just says, "East." And I'm like, hell yeah, that's a great parent maneuver. I was like, that's all you need to know. And then he's like, but then where?
Didn't it shut him up?
No, because then he's like, but then where are we going? And then she's like, we're going here. Okay, then. And then she's like, and then the final destination is this. Okay.
White Tower. Yes. And yeah, Matt seems like he's okay with us all too. He's like, she can protect us from the Trollocs, so this is where we should be. And that's kind of Egwene's point of view as well. Except Egwene, you can tell she kind of is, maybe has more of a bond with her than anybody else, besides Lan, of course. Lan is always quick to jump by her side, and you see him like eyeballing Rand a lot. Like, am I going to have to deal with you later? So there's a little tension there. Did you like the little, it sounded like we were going to hear like a Nirvana song in between this next cut.
So I wrote that down, and Nicole had the same exact thoughts, which is you rarely hear an electric guitar in a fantasy score.
And guess who loved it? Me.
Same.
It sounded great.
There has to be. Has a movie ever been, a fantasy movie in particular, been scored with dungeon synth?
Ooh, probably not. I mean, I guess the closest we got is A Knight's Tale, which is like scored with rock music. But yeah, dungeon synth, that's an original idea that we should cut out of this episode so you can get working on it.
On This Movie's Gay, we kept demanding, because directors would and people who produced movies would listen to that show, because we would usually talk about their movies. And we just kept screaming, someone make a queer sword and sorcery movie, because we want to watch one. Yeah,
and it's coming to fruition now. I mean, we just had like Bridgerton and a bunch of other shows that like feature, LGBTQ lettered characters.
No, I'm saying Bridgerton's not sword and sorcery.
I've never seen it, so I don't know. I just go by what I've heard.
that's like Victorian high class, like fancy people. I'm saying, like a warlock is trying to destroy the earth, and one hero must rise to the cause.
Right. Gotcha. Well, we're watching a fantasy series right now, so let's keep watching and see what happens in the future with that. Yeah. I'm going to take a quick break, James. This will be a very quick break, and we're going to come right back, okay? We've been listening to some Earthdog Mothership, a Richmond, Virginia band. What'd you think of that, James? You seem to have the same opinion of every band that I play. Why is that?
It's because they all rock, baby. I have an idea. One episode,
Okay.
we should just, all the songs are of artists that I have produced in my life. So
Okay.
I would send you the songs and you'd be like, this is Carl Swiftney with Mystical Intoxication coming in at number 3.
I don't know if you're joking, but I really, really 100% want you to do that. I would love to be able to get like 3 of bands from you to do for an episode. That's a great idea.
This is Demonic off from Homesick Volume 2 with A Child of God.
So keep your feet in the ground. All right, we're going to talk about Earthdog Mothership because we just kind of blew right past those guys. We listened to Hermit just now, which was, I saw them live about a week and a half ago. That was my favorite song when I saw them live. That's why I chose to play the song here. And I'm going to see them again in just a couple days. They're playing about 3 blocks down the road from my house, so there's no way I cannot go see these guys.
Happens.
I know, it's so easy. So yeah, Earthdog Mothership. Let's see if they have an album coming out or a single we can listen to. I don't see one, but I do know that they are playing a show at the Garden Grove with our buddies He Wolf. That's going to be March 19th, and they're going to be playing with I Am the Liquor, Earthdog Mothership, He Wolf. That's going to be a fantastic show. These guys have been in different Richmond bands such as Desert Altar, Roper and Furley, Father of 12, Siren to Silence. If you know those bands, you know this band. Check them out next time you
And
can.
they're racking.
So we're going to go from Earthdog Mothership to Wheel of Time Mothership. We saw our White Cloak friends again. Moraine and Lan came upon them in the forest, and Moraine has to kind of settle everybody, settle our Two Rivers 4 to because they're unfamiliar with these White Cloaks. This is a new thing to them. But Moraine has obviously dealt with them before, being an Aes Sedai.
Is she?
Yes, what?
Is she? I think she might be. This is a foreshadowing. I think because I'll. You want to know what? After you say all this last scene, then I'll say what the foreshadowing is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so she tells all them, we need a story, but we cannot lie. Tell the truth as much as you can. So the gray-haired fella, we know him as Geoffram Bornhold. He seems like a pretty polite, well-spoken guy, but he's kind of overrun by our friend Valda, the High Questioner. Any fan of Introvoid might recognize the song name The High Questioner because it's a song I wrote for this fella, Valda. I love him so much I wanted to immortalize him in music. You notice he has a different armband than the other guys. He's a pretty handsy fellow with Moraine, and Lan does not like that. All the facts she's given them are kind of half-truth. They're like, where did you come from? She says, we came from Terran Ferry, which is true. They did just come from Terran Ferry, but she skips to mention that they actually came from Two Rivers before that. I'm going to pause for a second to give our boy James some time here. What's up?
He says, hey, where I'm from, men keep their hands to themselves unless they want them cut off, which would have been dope. I mean, it would have been an active battle and would have had a roll for initiative, but slice, that would have been cool.
And it would have been good comeuppance for that fellow as well, huh?
Mm-hmm. I really like that. Their armbands are fucking cool.
Yeah.
Whoever designed those, pat yourself on the back, and I hope you at least got a Grammy nom. Not Grammy. You want to know what? Yeah. They can clink along. Get a Grammy for that.
Get an audio Grammy for that, and then get I guess you would get, not an Emmy. What do you call those other ones? The Oscars.
No, this would be Emmy.
Okay. Well, it's
a TV show.
I don't. They get a Tony for this one. Who knows? With their circular saws on their armbands. We get a lot of information from this scene. First off, Moraine tells everybody to listen carefully for truths. Tell the difference between a truth and a lie. Bornhold recommends when he sees that wound that Moraine has been hiding that she got from the Trolloc. That was when she got, speared by that javelin in the battle. Mm-hmm. And nobody knew she had that wound except for Land. And we're just finding out ourselves now that she and Perrin are both pretty bad injured, but they're still getting around somehow. They split up 3 different ways. Bornhold is part of the battle White Cloaks. So he's going where there's going to be battle. He went west to the borderlands. Mm-hmm. A higher purpose is calling Valda to go south. We don't know what that higher purpose is, but he takes a few dudes and goes that way. And then our crew is heading over to Whitebridge right now to go find one of Moraine's quote-unquote sisters. So throughout this show, now that Moraine cannot lie. She can get around the truth, but every word that you actually hear her say will be a true statement. So it's something to look out for in the future. It's something to look out for when you're reading the books. Every word an Aes Sedai says. Yes.
This is the foreshadowing.
Okay.
And I'm glad we're talking about we're discussing this show.
Okay.
She says, saying, hey, this will be our story. She says, I'm from a fallen house, which makes me think that she might have been ousted from the Aes Sedai or is on rocky roads with them for some reason or another. Maybe she's not down for just killing random dudes, and that might have gotten her like, oh, well, I need to find this dragon to help unify even the people within the place I call home.
Yeah, I'm holding my head because I can't believe that you caught that. That was the sneakiest catch, and I wasn't even going to bring it up because it was so sneaky. So congratulations. And keep paying attention to Moraine's words and anybody who's an Aes Sedai. Fantastic, man. Kudos.
Hell yes.
I think we're at time now, so we're going to wrap up our conversation with these White Cloaks. Yeah, so we're going to stop it here because we're about halfway into our episode. This is about exactly the halfway mark. And I don't know if I should apologize or if I should express gratitude or what, because this is great that we're doing half episodes instead of the whole thing. This would be a very long show, a podcast, if we were covering the whole thing. And this gives us a chance to watch it twice. And I recommend for anybody listening to do that, to watch if you're going to be into this show and you're going to watch this season, look out for little sniglets like that, like James just caught with that lie. Not a lie. Nothing that comes out of Moraine's mouth is a lie. So that truth that she told about, I'm a woman coming from a fallen house. What kind of house could that be? Could it be a house that physically fell down because it was built really shittily? Or was it like a great house somewhere, down south? We don't know. Do you have any final thoughts through this halfway point, James?
I'm liking this series.
Yeah, great. I mean, I know you're not much of a reader, so this is the only way that I think maybe 75% of people will catch this story is through the television show. So I'm glad that it's on the air for that reason, that we get introduced to these characters, we get introduced to these concepts, and just to this world itself. I'm glad you're on board. Yeah. So next week, we're going to go into part 2 of this episode. For right now, we're going to say so long. I still see you, James, but I really wish that you always, always find water and shade in your life.
I see you as well, and I hope you find water and shade as well. I think that's what I'm supposed to say.
I want you to say what's in your heart, and it sounds like you just did, so you said the right thing.
I did.
Well, from us at Sweet Child of Time, we bid you adieu. Goodbye. This is where you say goodbye to, James.
Bye.
Bye-bye.